In this video, I'll look at the basic viewports and selection in 3ds Max. When we start out, Max is clean, meaning there is exactly nothing in the view. In any view I can see just the basic grid. 0, 0 is located where the dark lines meet. We work in a Cartesian system on X, Y, and Z axes. What we can see right now is I've got 4 viewports up: top, front, left, and orthographic. And each of them has a plus next to it, where we can get to more configuration, and a title, wireframe in this case, saying that objects here will be displayed as wireframe. My active viewport has a yellow ring around it, telling me which I'm working in. In Max then, the viewports let you see what you're doing. A lot of things happen on the right side in the command panel. We create and modify objects, and we also deal with things like pivots for animation and rigging, and motion. Down in the bottom is our timeline, and there's a slider going from 0 to 100. We start out with about 3 seconds. Down in the bottom right then are our viewport controls that let us navigate around the viewports. I'll start then by opening up my scene, clicking on the Open folder here, or pressing Ctrl O, and pulling up O3 Station Start from my Scenes folder. Notice it goes to my project here, Art Deco Train Station Scenes. I'll click Open, and the view changes. This is the Art Deco Train Station concourse we'll be using for these videos. In this case, we've jumped into one big view, and it's available down in the extreme bottom right on the screen in the Maximize Viewport toggle. Depending on which you like, you can work in 4 views, 1 view, or even switch viewport configuration here on the bottom left. And you can see there's a number of configurations available. We can pick whatever really suits us, and we can even drag the middle back and forth, depending on what we'd like to see. We can get into different ways of seeing it. Working in shaded if we'd like, pressing F3. Working in wireframe, again F3. Using our hotkeys, or our V for view menu, to navigate between different views. We can get around and see any different option we'd like. It's important to note that when you're working in Max, you need to zoom in, make things big, and get to where you need fast. If you can't see what you're doing, go somewhere else. If the front view here doesn't work, or the left view, I'm going to switch to the top view, and T is the hotkey. If I want to see things shaded, I'll press F3. If I want to see the wireframe on the objects, that is the actual lines defining the mesh, I can press F4. Notice now at the top it says Realistic plus Edged Faces. We've also got hotkeys available, and these are available in the Max Help if you'd like a list. I'll press Alt and click the mouse wheel, and that orbits, going from any view to an orthographic. And this is an isometric view where we can orbit around our objects, again pressing Alt and the mouse wheel. To pan, click the mouse wheel in and drag back and forth. To zoom in, scroll that mouse wheel back and forth, and we dolly in on our objects. Pressing P for perspective produces a drawn 2-point perspective, not a camera view, but a measured perspective. And in this case I can see my building clearly. It's got a blue outside shell, and I can click on it to select it. When objects are selected and they're shaded, we see selection brackets outside that let us know the overall bounding box of that object. In this case, since it's a box, they're pretty close here. But off to the side, for example, is the ticket booth. I'll select it and press Z to zoom in on it. This is the ticket booth we'll place later in that train station. And we can see a couple of things here. There's the mesh defined by its edges. There's the shaded view. There's the selection brackets telling me that this whole object, which is actually a group of objects, is selected, and these are the furthest extents. And we can see it's doing its best to shade here, although it's a little chunky looking, but we'll deal with that later. I'll zoom out, and I can see all sorts of things going on. The hotkeys are pretty straightforward. T for top, L for left, F for front. I'll press V, and there's a viewports menu available on my mouse, and here's the bottom view if I need it. I can press G to turn off the grid, and now I'm looking clearly at the ceiling. Again, zoom in, use up that viewport. We're working on good size monitors, and we have a lot of real estate available, and most computers have decent graphics power, enough to get in and see what's going on. So zoom in. When I teach, it kills me to see students working like this. There's all this empty space around, and they're trying to do something on this little bitty postage stamp right here, and not getting much done. So spin around, use Alt and that mouse wheel. Z to zoom extents. Click on objects to select them, and change around your views, getting to the best view you need to show what's going on.